Okay, we
Okay,
ready?
we were talking about the $1,000,000. No, we were talking about spending an hour with your mother.
Oh, yeah. Did I say that I was in this ambulance going to a neighboring town?
Yes.
And instead of being afraid or something, I love adventure. And instead of being afraid, I was excited because I thought this is something else. I just knew at any minute I was going to see Ma. That's so funny.
Hmm.
I kind of even think she was there.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well, one thing I have always really wanted to ask you, I've heard some of the story, but not the whole story, is what happened to your hand?
Okay.
Tell us about that.
So when I was married in 1948, and I think it was June 5th. All right, good thing I remember that. And so we used to pick corn by hand, you know, and we were farmers, and we did everything like that. Pa was a horseman, horse farmers and whatnot. We had one tractor, it had steel in back and rubber in front, which was the most improved thing at the time. So we bought a corn picker to do all this. We had more corn and whatnot, and other people did have them already. It was a Wood Brothers single row corn picker, and we only had one tractor, and I was on the corn picker, so my dad was going back and forth hauling the corn to the corn crib and putting it in the elevator. And so I was loaded early out there, about a half mile out in the field, and he was getting late to get back out there to get the load, and I was trying to put more on. And there's a husking bed in this corn picker, and there was an ear kind of stuck in there, so I reached down to put a little pressure on the top of that ear so it would scoot across this husking roll, and my hand went in. And I didn't even realize it went in until I went to leave. I went to go, and so I was in there for about 45 minutes. I thought about everybody those 45 minutes. They were kind of long ones, and I can remember looking across to the field and my neighbor over there, and I was kind of mad at him. He sees everything else I do. How come he don't see me over here? But help came, and they took me out. They turned the corn picker backwards, and I had all the belts and everything tore off the back end of it. And one of the neighbors got me in the car, and we took off for the hospital. And I think my hand was about 3 foot long when I got it. I pulled. It was kind of funny feeling. It didn't hurt. Your body goes numb or something.
Right.
And the feeling didn't come back into it till I was on the operating table in the hospital.
Wow.
And then I felt it.
How old were you?
I was 21.
Wow.
Really, it was something like that does affect you, I guess.
Yeah.
But it became a big challenge with me. I never shirked my duty from then on. I could pitch bundles with the fork. We had horses, and I didn't like it if there was somebody thought I couldn't do something.
Right. Right.
So
Made you a better person.
yeah, who knows? I
Yeah.
suppose it's part of my training, right?
There you go.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, well, I guess we should probably close off by saying something about Jean, since this is the day that she's being buried. And so we will ask you, I guess, what is your earliest memory of Jean? And just give a little description of how you would describe her as a person. And then we want to finish up by clearing up this matter of my mom falling into a outside toilet. And we want to know the real story, because according to Jean, she fell in this outside outhouse toilet, and they fetched her out of there and washed her off in a watering trough, but we never really knew why she fell in there. I guess Jean said that she just fell through the hole.
Can I talk now?
Yep.
Oh, well, actually, her brother Bob was in on this. He's probably more guilty than I am. And there used to be an old-time trick. We used to hear other people talk about it. You know, we had that's the only place we had to go to the toilet was that's their little two-holer out in the grove back of the house. Guys used to used the barn more than the other places, but there was no lights out there or nothing. And so the old trick was after you dug this hole, why when it's dark we would move the outhouse off of the hole just to the side. And so people would walk out there in the dark thinking they knew where everything was and walk right into it. So that's what Bob and I did. And we didn't do it to trap Dolores, but she's the one that was the first one there. So, you know, we were really shook up after that happened. But dirty. It's what a real dirty trick, isn't it?
Yes, that was.
Anyway, there isn't anybody that more like cleanliness more than Dolores.
Mm-hmm.
She was the last person in the world who'd want to do that, but that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
well, my earliest recollections of Jean and Dolores and Bob and Joan, I guess, is when I was kids. Of course, they were my age, and I played with them a lot. And they lived on this farm in an older house about 4 miles away from our place. And I can remember them on that front porch that they had, this old house facing south, and the barn was down across the yard and whatnot. And we used to have a lot of fun doing all kinds of dumb things, you know. Some of the games were pump, pull away, you know. We used to, the old cellar door, we used to play King on the Hill, I don't know. And Jean, of course, was just as tough as anybody was.
Mm-hmm.
She could throw you off that hill as fast as anybody could. So we were very active physically.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear those stories. Well, we're going to finish up with a final comment. And if you
Okay.
want to leave a final comment to future generations who now know you because we have interviewed you, what would be your final comment you would like to leave for those?
Well, the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my life when I was 43, I had a personal experience with Jesus. Changed my whole life. They say you become what you think, so this affected my thinking. And I can't think of any better legacy for anybody, any one of my family or those or my friends or anybody on earth to have that happen to them. If it hasn't happened, to seek and search and want that to happen. It makes everything starts making sense. And I was 43. So that's the greatest thing that ever happened to me, and can be and will be, if it hasn't been already, the greatest thing that ever happened to you.
Well, thank
So
you.
if it hasn't happened, look for it. Seek it, search it. Don't let nothing stop you from getting it, because it's just everything.
Amen.
Amen.
Now, we will have one final comment. He has to explain the green mustache.
Well, it's kind of a legacy handed down to me through my Irish parents and grandparents and whatnot. And, you know, I started it a few years ago just to be Irish.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's something I got to keep up. About 3 or 4 weeks before St. Patty's Day, it just comes. It emerges by itself now.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, thank you, John.
All right, fun.
Signing out.